guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So today I'm going to be checking out a board game called Back to the Future, Back in Time. Now this is a interesting game. I've never actually seen a game that plays this way. I play a lot of the old classic games, so I don't get into too many of these new modern games where there's a lot of setup involved and stuff. But occasionally one will catch my eye because it's based on something like Back to the Future. Now this was actually a Christmas present. It was from my brother to my daughter, so she's into the Back to the Future series as well. We watch the movies together, and I got to learn how to play it. We haven't actually played a full game of it yet. I did actually just learn the rules, but I just thought it'd be fun to show it off, just in case you've never seen this, or maybe you've seen it on the shelf and you thought, hey, that looks kind of cool. Now I know there's like a card game, or a dice game, I mean. There's something else that's similar to this one. But this is actually the Back in Time board game. And you can see it's got a whole bunch of stuff going on there. The rules are a little bit complex, I have to admit. It's not as easy as, say, something like Monopoly. But, I mean, it's interesting in the way that this game plays, in that you're not facing each other. You're working together as a team. So it's a collaborative board game. Meaning you either all win or you all lose. Kind of think of it that you're Marty McFly, and or collaboratively you're Marty McFly, and you got to get Marty McFly home, or else that's the end of Marty McFly. So anyways, I'm going to check out the board because this is awesome. This is the flux capacitor. I mean, this just looks amazing. I could actually just put this in my DeLorean, and it would look like that. I have a flux capacitor in there, because everybody always asks, when you have a car like that, if you have a flux capacitor. So that would be kind of funny. But anyways, yeah. So the board's kind of cool. It opens up. I like how they do boards now that they're so small. Board games used to always look like this, and it would just be flat like that. Now they fold them up into a nice little square so they could have smaller boxes. But yeah, I'm gonna try and show this off. It's pretty much Hill Valley. So you got the clock tower. I'm doing this, trying to look at the screen here so I could do this properly. And you got different things, like you got a track where the DeLorean goes, and all the different parts of Hill Valley, like Lou's Cafe. It's really detailed in what it does. The other thing that I liked from the moment I opened this up was I saw this. And if you're a fan of the movie, if you've watched the movie several times, maybe if you even just remember watching it a long time ago, you probably remember seeing this. George McFly was reading this, or he had this on his nightstand when Marty McFly came in, kind of dressed like that, in his suit, and had the little spacecraft there that conveniently opens up like a DeLorean. And so he was able to convince George McFly that he was Darth Vader from outer space. So I thought it was really cool that they did this. This is actually the rule book, because when I first pulled it out, I'm like, oh, did they actually give us like a comic book? And then I opened it up, and it was the rules. So I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. I really like that they did that they gave it a title. And the rules are really easy to follow. I mean, I started reading them. Like I said, the game's a little bit more complex. There is quite a few bits and pieces to it. There's a lot of cards, there's dice, there's little tokens, there's a little DeLorean. There's all these little things that you have to learn. There's a turn counter, a checker thing, and you got tiles for each of the characters. So there is quite a bit going on, but it reads really easily, like you just kind of read through each step by step. And I'm telling you, if you're going to play this game, have the manual there. Don't try and learn all the rules, because there's quite a few of them. And, the options, I should say. There's quite a few options that each player could do on their turn. So it's probably beneficial to actually keep this book with you and look them up as you're playing it. And I'm sure once you play it a few times, you start to get it. Because you do have a lot of options. You can do different things. You can move different characters around. Each person takes on a character. So I'll show you here. They got the... this is the... what do they call it? It's the photograph of Marty McFly, and it's got little cards that sit on there and slowly fade away. And then you got this as a tracker to see the love meter and all that stuff. So it's kind of cool. George McFly and Lorraine, they start off in love, but then they can end up not being in love, and you have to get them in love. So it's interesting. Like, you got to keep this nice little balance. Let's see. We also got the clock tower. I haven't actually set this up yet, but it's a full-on clock tower that you set up on the board, kind of like the Game of Life where you have the parts on it. So you actually set this up, and what's interesting is you can actually pour the dice in and it rolls out the front. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of a little thing you can do. Not necessary, but you can do it. But as you can see, I'm just going to open that up so we can pull this out. I'm going to show you Marty McFly's card. So everybody gets a card. Everybody's a player, like a player in the game. You choose Marty McFly. You could be Doc Brown. See, there's Doc Brown. They use like little comic book drawings instead of the original cast members. But you know, you can see that that's Doc Brown. And so you got these little tiles here, and then you start the game with these little cards that actually, got them right here. They're little power cards and stuff like that. They all do different things, so you get to start off with the start off tiles, and as you progress in the game, you get to earn more tiles that actually, during your turn, essentially what you do is you flip over what they call the action tiles to do an action. So if you want to roll the dice, you flip over one of the tiles that allow you to do that. If you want to move a character, and you can move your own character, and you can also escort either George McFly or Lorraine around the board. And there's also a Biff character that kind of moves on his own when you're told during the game to actually move him. You even have these little Biff tokens, and so they actually correspond to parts of the board that say move Biff at this point. The really exciting thing is you get this neat, I'm going to pull it out of the package here, this neat little DeLorean. And it looks almost like a really scale like look to it, a really detailed look to it. And I'm holding it kind of awkward there, right there in the camera. So you can see like the detailing they put in there. The back of the car even has the out of time license plate, if you could read that little tiny writing. Really cool that they have this. The wheels don't move. It's literally just a plastic. It's not like a little Hot Wheels car. It's like a little plastic one-piece thing, but still, it's like a token. So you know, it's probably better that they don't move because the car would actually roll on the board. So it's really just a token, and you actually start it off in a spot on the board in the Hill Valley, and then you eventually get it to Doc's laboratory or his workplace where you can find these parts to actually get the car up and running, and then you got to get it to the clock tower. So essentially what you're doing in this game is you're wandering around Hill Valley, you roll the die, you move your tokens. You got these little, I mean, they built these little plastic tokens that look like the characters, sorta. Let's see here, we got, who's this? I think this is Biff. Looks like a big bad guy. I think that's Biff. But yeah, so you got these tokens. They all have, you know, different colors and stuff. I think that's Doc Brown. So you would take your character and you're moving them around the town. And your object is to get Lorraine and George to fall in love. Then you got to get the time machine parts together. You got to get the wire. They're all little cards in the game, all these little things here. And you got these little cards as well, like that, exhaust systems and stuff like that. And you got these little action cards that kind of tell you what the game is, you know, what's going on in the game. Little actions you have to like do at certain locations. So there's like something like this where it says provoke Biff. It's got little icons on there that correspond to the dice rolls. And so you pretty much just go around solving, kind of like problems. You go around solving these things, and then you get extra tokens and tiles and stuff. So you build up your characters, you move around Hill Valley, and as you're doing that, there's a time tracker, which is, you put a dice on it. I'm going to see if I can find it in here. So, and I found it. Just took me a little bit of digging there. Yeah, here it is. It's a turn tracker. It essentially, you have a die thing, that kind of a marker that goes across, and when you get to the last square, which is over here, the clock tower, the game essentially ends at that point, and if you've met the criteria, you all win the game. And that's the criteria, is to have the DeLorean ready. George and Lorraine have to be in love, and you have to just get the DeLorean to the final spot, and you win the game. So it's really where the collaboration comes in. I'm just going to show you the dice too. The dice look kind of cool. It reminds me of this other game I like to play called Dice Masters. If you've ever played that game, where you actually you put your own dice cards together and play the game that way. So as you can see, there's one there. That's a Biff token. I think that's the, what is it? I can't remember all the different icons right now, but they're all different things. You have to kind of like literally choose your die when you play based on your cards, roll them, and they do give you some options. They do give you some re-roll options, so you're not always just stuck with your main roll. So they give you all these little instructions that you have to really keep that manual close by when you want to play it. Anyways, yeah, this is pretty cool. I mean, there's Strickland right there. All different kinds of cards, all different kinds of things. I just like the way it's a collaborative game. I like how you have to play together and work together to actually, you know, do things. Like you can actually escort, you know, Lorraine around Hill Valley if you get your token on the same space as hers, and then you can actually move with her to get her away from Biff, because Biff is constantly moving his token around to try and go after George or Lorraine, and every time he gets in contact with Lorraine, the heart meter moves down, and they start to lose love interest in each other. Interesting concept. Anyways, yeah, I just thought I'd show this off. This is actually pretty cool. I can't wait to actually give this game a real try. It does, I think it says it's about almost an hour or so to play, or 40 minutes or something like that. Depending on how quickly you actually do play yourself, you know the rules, you know what you're doing. It could take a little bit of time, but I mean, that's what these games are for. They're not meant to be, you know, 5-minute games. They're meant to be something you all play together as a family. Anyways, let me know what you think down below. If you have this, throw some comments down below on what your opinion is on it and playing it. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you just like it for the artwork? Or if you just bought it because it's a Back to the Future. I always like to hear what you have to say. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.